For years, we've all been chasing this dream, right? The perfect battery. One that's lighter, lasts longer, and charges in a flash. We've heard so many promises about a holy grail that's always just around the corner. Well, at CES 2026, this tiny company from Finland, Donut Lab, gets on stage and basically says, the future isn't coming, it's already here. And honestly, their claims are so insane, they've either just rewritten the rules of energy or they're pulling off the biggest bluff the tech world has ever seen. So let's start with the one that just stopped everyone in their tracks. Forget charging to 80% in half an hour. We're talking a full 0 to 100% charge in 5 minutes. That's it. That's literally less time than it takes to order a coffee. And then there's the lifespan. I mean, think about your phone's battery. You're doing great if it still feels good after 2, maybe 3 years. Donut Lab says their battery can handle 100,000 charge cycles. If you charged it up every single day, it would last for more than 270 years. It stops being a component that wears out and becomes, well, a permanent part of the machine. And here's the part that really breaks your brain. This isn't some science experiment in a lab or a slide in a PowerPoint deck. Donut Lab, a company with less than 100 people, is claiming these things are rolling off a production line as we speak, that they are ready to go into actual vehicles. Okay, so we've got to dive into this because to really get the sheer scale of what they're saying, we have to look at the cold, hard numbers. These are the specs that have every major battery maker and car company in the world either scrambling or just straight up calling foul. First up, energy density. That's the big one. It's basically how much power you can pack into a certain weight. They're claiming 400 watt-hours per kilogram. Now, to put that into perspective, today's best-in-class EV batteries are hanging out around 250, maybe 300 if they're lucky. This is a huge leap. More range, less weight. It's the dream. And we have to circle back to this charge time because it's so critical. 5 minutes. And they are absolutely clear on this. It's for a full charge, from empty to full. No slowing down after 80%, which, as you know, is the Achilles heel for pretty much every battery out there right now. And that cycle life, wow, 100,000 cycles. That means the battery is, for all practical purposes, immortal in whatever vehicle you put it in. It would outlive the car, and the next car, and probably the car after that. This totally flips the script on what ownership even means. Now, this is where it really hits home. When you see it all laid out like this, it's just staggering. I mean, look at the comparison. Donut Lab isn't talking about a small 10 or 20% improvement here and there. They're claiming a monumental leap in every single metric. It makes Tesla's best stuff look a generation behind. And that battery in your pocket, your smartphone, that looks like something from the Stone Age. But you know what they say? When a company claims they've basically figured out how to bend the laws of physics, it doesn't just get people excited. It builds a massive, massive wall of skepticism from the very people who've dedicated their entire lives to solving this exact problem. And the reaction from the competition wasn't just cautious. It was, frankly, brutal. Yang Hongsin, who's the CEO of a huge battery manufacturer called Svolt, he didn't pull any punches. He just came right out and said it was a fraud, that the numbers they're claiming physically contradict each other. So, and this is the important part, the doubt isn't just a gut feeling. It's based on some really serious red flags. Donut Lab hasn't released any peer-reviewed papers, no patents, not a single detail about the chemistry. And you've got giants like Toyota and Samsung with armies of engineers saying this kind of tech is still years away. So how on earth did a tiny startup from Helsinki crack the code first? Because they've been so quiet, this has kicked off a huge investigation online. You have engineers, battery nerds, and armchair detectives digging into every possibility, and the whole mystery has kind of boiled down to a few major theories. Okay, so a lot of the best theories are centered on this really cool idea called pseudocapacitance. So instead of ions having to slowly burrow their way into a material like in a normal battery, here they just kind of stick to the surface. Think of it like Velcro. It's a way you could, theoretically, get that insane charging speed and that crazy long cycle life. And that leads to the biggest question people are debating online right now. Is the donut battery actually a battery? Or is it some kind of revolutionary supercapacitor? See, supercapacitors are already famous for their speed and their long life, but they're terrible at storing energy. So if Donut Labs somehow solved the energy density problem for capacitors, well, that would be just as massive a breakthrough. So you've got a few competing ideas. Is it a capacitor in disguise? Maybe. Are they just repackaging somebody else's advanced cells? Some people think so. There's another theory that traces it all back to some university research in Finland. And then there's the biggest wrinkle. Someone leaked what looks like a third-party test report, and it shows numbers that are really, really good, but nowhere close to the world-changing numbers that Donut Lab is advertising.
But, and this is what makes this whole story so compelling and so different from all the other battery promises we've heard, this isn't some fuzzy coming soon situation. Donut Lab has tied its unbelievable claims to a very real, very public, and very, very close deadline.
See, they've gone and partnered up with an electric motorcycle company called Verge, and they have said flat out that the first bikes with these brand new solid-state batteries will be delivered to actual customers this quarter.
So you can see the clock is ticking. This creates a real timeline with actual stakes. Just last year, Donut Lab showed off this wild new motor that people were skeptical about, and they delivered. This year, it's the battery. And now everybody is watching that March 31st deadline. There are no do-overs, there are no excuses.
So by the end of this quarter, the first real customers are supposed to get their motorcycles. And the second they do, those batteries can be tested, they can be torn down, they can be analyzed by anyone and everyone. All the secrets, all the theories, all the speculation, it's all about to be over. We are just weeks away from finding out if this is the biggest energy breakthrough of our lifetime, or if it was just too good to be true.